Welcome to the Real Estate Dads podcast. We've got our guest, Christian Silvestri. Christian is a seasoned real estate entrepreneur. He has got a portfolio that's been as small as 92 doors and over 100 doors. He's done a bunch of fix and flipping. He's a father of two, and his family came from South America. And to be honest, had some torrid upbringing as a young adult, though has proven to be a true juggernaut in the industry, just improving constantly, being a great dad and growing his portfolio. Christian, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Christian, let's get the rundown first. So tell us the scoop about you and your real estate investing. Like, where are you in that process?
Well, I'm being in real estate since 2012. My primary markets it's actually South Florida. That's the only the three counties of South Florida. That's my primary market, especially Miami-Dade. I started fixing and flipping, and I still do it until today. And in 2019 is when I started building my rental portfolio. I have 82 doors so far, and hopefully in the next 30 days, I should be closing 10 more doors.
Great. So down market, you're still buying.
Exactly. So I was raised in South America, so I have a lot of connections in South America. So I was able to raise money from investors in Argentina and Chile. So that's basically how I built my rental portfolio. My personal portfolio, with my business partner, which is my wife, we raised about $2 million from friends and family in South America. And we use that money to cover the gap in our fix and fix projects. So those profits, we reinvested it on multifamilies.
Great.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we still doing. We try to focus. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the market here in Miami, but the insurance are killing us. So we try to focus on properties between 2 to 4, small multifamilies, just because those still consider residential, and the insurance is still, the numbers still might make sense. When we go to bigger units basically we were losing money after, getting the win and everything. So the 10 units that I'm buying now, I'm actually buying it through seller financing. So it's somebody that had already sold me units in the past. So he's not asking me to get the win portion of the insurance, which is the one that actually makes a difference.
Yeah, wind insurance is not cheap.
I have the 10 units that I'm buying in the same block. I have another 10 units, and I quoted the insurance just to see how much it was going to be. I was paying on 2023 from 2022 to 2023 to 2024. I was paying, I think it was $14,000 with everything, property, liability, wind insurance. And when I got the renewal, it was actually $28,000. So it doubled.
For how many units?
For 10, right?
For 10.
Yeah, just for 10 units. So the good thing about the seller financing is, and this guy, he already knows that we basically, when we purchase a property, we do everything, from top to bottom. And so he's not asking me for wind insurance for this new property. So it's basically the same property. So I already know the numbers. They're actually on the same block. So I already know numbers and everything.
And is those insurance numbers, is that due to the age of the asset, or just physically the location and that's it?
Location. Well, it's basically, everything. It has to do with the age. It has to do with the location. But here in Miami, the only company that is actually insuring properties right now is Citizen. So you don't have any other option. So you have to go with Citizen.
Yeah, I've heard of similar issues. We're dealing with a similar thing in Phoenix right now. But in Phoenix, it's if your property's older than 1988, you have to go to secondary insurance market, and it's super expensive. And that's why a lot of people are just buying, 1988 and newer. And if they can, 1990s and newer, to get even better. But, okay. So, and then tell us about the family.
Been married we got married in 2019. We were engaged for before that, we were engaged for 7 years. Well, we finally got married in 2019. And that was an interesting story because we got married after a very bad car accident that I had. So, So we got married in 2019. I live with my wife here in Miami and my 2 kids. My daughter, Camila, she's 9 years old. And my son, Tiago, he's 6 years old.
Great. And, and this is the Real Estate Dads podcast. So, so what we want to hear is, how is it having these kids and running as an entrepreneur?
Dude, I love it, man. I mean, I'm not originally from Miami. I was raised in Peru, but I was born in Jersey. And my parents, they decided to go back to Peru. My mom is Puerto Rican. My dad is Peruvian. For some reason, my parents decided to go back to Peru in 1982. So I was basically 1 year old when they went back to Peru. And I was there for like 14 years. I lived in Peru for 14 years. So we first arrived to Lima, which is the capital of Peru. And then we moved to a city like 3 hours from Lima. And I lived there for almost 15 years. I was raised there. When my parents went back to Peru, the idea was my dad's family was doing really well in Peru. So they convinced him to go back to Peru and start his own business instead of working for someone here. And he basically made the decision of going back, and he started his own business. They opened a nightclub, and they were very successful. And like in 2 years, they were able to scale that business. And in 2 years, they had like 3 restaurants, 2 bars, and 2 nightclubs. So it was a business. They were doing really well. It was really profitable for them, but it was a business that demanded a lot of their time. So I didn't spend that much time with my parents when I was a kid. I was always, with ladies that used to take care of us, nannies, and with my grandparents. But what I can tell you, dude, is that they did everything possible just to give us a nice life. So all I have are like really good memories from my childhood. Now that I'm a dad, bro, and looking back, one thing that I would change for sure, it would be, and that I regret, is that I didn't spend time with them. Like I don't have any memories of, going on vacation or doing things like that. And that's what I try to do with my kids nowadays, I'm very blessed being in this business. So I manage my own time and enjoy every moment of it. Like I spend a lot of time with my kids. Like right now, they're on vacation. I was just telling Trevor, we went to Punta Cana for 2 weeks and already took off the rest of the month just to spend time with them. And that's basically, dude, I enjoy being a dad. I thought I had a nice life, dude, until I had my daughter. That really changed my life. So I think that's when my life really got a purpose, bro. So yeah, it's really cool, man. I enjoy it.
So you're taking up the next 30 days to just
Well,
hang out
not
with your
30
kid?
days, for like the next 2 weeks, the next 10 days.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. You did 2 weeks in and now you got 2 weeks to go.
Yeah. They're gonna go to summer school regardless, so they're gonna start next Monday. But yeah, I'm taking some time off too for myself.
Okay. So what kind of things are you doing with them?
Dude, right now we're my son is he plays soccer. He just started going to a academy here close to the house, so he's really into it. He goes there twice a week. He really liked it, but he's very skinny, so he was having issues, with playing with bigger kids. So now he's 6 years old, so he's now feel more confident. So he's training 2 days out of the week. My daughter, she's a dancer. She's into ballet. She likes swimming. So we did a pool last year here in my house. So she's spent most of the days and most of the time. Now that we came back from Punta Cana, she's been like in the pool like almost every day. And yeah, man. I mean, like I say, we practically, my wife and I, we manage our time. So there's times when I wake up in the morning and I tell her, "Hey, can we just keep the kids here at home and don't take it to school?" Most of the time she says no, because but yeah, man. We do. When I was a kid, I wasn't really into sport. I love sports, but I was never good at it, or any other sports that I like. So, but when I thought about my kids, I was like, oh, I would like for him to play tennis. I would like for him to do this. I would like for him to do that. But what I noticed with my daughter, that I would talk to her about all different things, but it's just that when I give her like all the different options, she would just choose what she really likes. And I think that's a mistake that we all parents make. We try to, for our children to be or do what we will love doing in the past. So but I just try to see what they really like, and if they want to try it and they like it, they want to keep doing it at school. If not, we change to the next stuff.
So, and when you said for yourself playing sports, was it that you said you weren't good, but was part of that kind of like just not being enrolled at a young age? And those are some things some things that you wanted to do?
Dude, that's a good question. And now you got me thinking. I think, it makes sense. Like I say, my parents were not that involved in. I don't want to say that they weren't involved in raising us because
There's no judgment here. We all have these
yeah,
things where it's like, I hate to say it. My kids are going to have things. They're going to be like, I wish my dad had done this, So, and this is conversational. So, don't worry. We're not going to take an inference that, some kind of hard judgment or anything on your parents. It's just,
I mean, I imagine being in Peru, it's not as developed. So I would think there's less opportunity to participate in sports programs than there is here.
yeah, definitely. Well, back then, definitely, yeah, there was less opportunities. But I did have opportunity. I was on a private school. They have like very good, programs. It's just that I wasn't very into it. I love sports, like watching sports, but I wasn't into practicing any of them.
you look fit. Just saying. Like we haven't seen you in person here, but you look like you work out.
Oh, I know I do work out. Yeah, I go to the gym like at least four times a week. Yeah,
That's good. That's good. I
I need
wish
to
I
do
could
more
get that.
cardio. I need to do more cardio, but I'm trying to work on that as well.
I would like to ask, with your upbringing, culturally, from family in Peru to coming to the United States, your family not being involved, how was that? How has it changed?
Yeah, how'd you get here, man?
It was really, well, like I say, my family went back to Peru in 1982. I don't know how, you probably don't know much about Peru, but around mid 80s was a very critical time for Peru. They had hyperinflation. Inflation was up 143% per month.
Wow.
There was a shortage of everything, but their business was still doing good because, people always have money to go and have fun. And, they probably won't have money to buy a house or a car, but they can still afford having some drinks. So their business was still doing good until the end of the 80s, because that's when the terrorist groups started to emerge. And so now my parents not only have to deal with hyperinflation, but they also have to deal with terrorist groups that, at least in the city where we used to work, they used to pay these people a monthly fee just to open the doors. So numbers weren't making sense anymore, at least for them. So by the early 1990s, in 1992, is when they decided to close the doors and just come come back to the States. My mom is from Puerto Rico, so she's basically American, and so it was easy for us to come to the States, and they decided on Miami just because we had some family members that lived in Broward, which is a county next to Miami-Dade, and so we came here. It was really hard for me to get used to them, man, because I went to private school with the same friends since elementary all the way to when I started high school. So it was really hard for me, to leave my friends, leave my grandfather, who was basically my father figure, the person that I looked up to. So it was really hard. I didn't speak, man. It was hard for me I didn't speak any more of English. So it was really hard for me. But at the same time, on the 1990s, early 90s, all the countries in South America were going through different problems. Colombia was dealing with the drug cartels. They all were going to different problems. So you had a lot of people coming from South America to Miami, especially to Miami.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of friends. When I started meeting my friends, that's when I started getting adjusted to Miami and to the culture. And but it took me some time, and I would say probably like 2 years, 3 years just to get used to it, like fully adapted to the country.
At what age? What age were you when you say those 3 years?
I came when I was 14. I was about to turn 15.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What did your parents do when they got here?
When they got here, bro, my dad, well, the first thing they did is they sold all the assets they had in Peru. And the first thing he did, he bought a house. And then we moved to the house, and he had some money saved up. He had some money left, and his idea was to start his own business, but he never did. He started working on a restaurant as a manager, as an assistant. Like kind of what he was doing over there. But he always, I remember, always talk about the idea of opening his own business, but he actually never did. And he was working on a restaurant. My mom was working in a pharmacy. And they were both working 2 jobs. So it was basically the same thing. We didn't spend that much time together because they were actually working two jobs. They were both working two jobs. So man, I adapted really quick. I wasn't that good at school either, so but I was really good at making friends. So I had a lot of friends. I was very social, and yeah, man. I think I dropped out from school at 10th grade. Like I didn't. That's one of the things that I didn't like at all. School. I was like, no, I don't want to pursue this. I got to do something else. So I dropped out from school. My parents weren't too happy about it, but I was kind of rebellious with them, and I guess it has to do with the fact that I didn't spend that much time with them. So whatever they want me to do, I would do the opposite. And so I dropped out of school at 10th grade, and I started working. I started working from, I think, when I was 16 or 17, and I had always worked like two jobs until I started my own business. So
hard work pays off. So let's jump into that. Okay, so you dropped out of school, 10th grade, and you started your real estate career when you were in 2012, right?
I started in 2012. I had a really bad, had a big issue in 2000, on my early 20s. I started drinking alcohol and doing drugs at a very early age. And on the late 1990s and early 2000s, here in Miami, the drug of choice, the popular drug was ecstasy, MDMA. And I had friends from Colombia that were actually bringing the pills from Amsterdam to Colombia and from Colombia to Miami. So by that time, I was working in a property as a valet parking, just in a building, in a condominium building. And my second job was a promoter. I was a promoter of a nightclub. So I was there for 2 nights, Thursdays and Fridays. So we used to promote this club on Thursdays and Fridays. And basically, my friends that used to bring the pills from Colombia were selling those pills to me on a wholesale price. Back then, they would get the pills from Amsterdam at 50 cents per piece. They will sell them to me at $8 per piece. And I will sell them at the nightclub for like $25. And if it was after hours, they'll pay up to $50. So I was doing that just as a way for me to make money. It wasn't,
learning
business. I wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, you learn a business. Yeah.
Yeah. But, but I wasn't, it's not like I was making wealth. I mean, I'll probably make, I was making good amount of money, but it's not like I didn't see that as a business or anything like that. I was just making the money. I was spending the money the same day with my friends. I used to close because of the nightclub that I used to work. It was open until like 3:00 in the morning. And then you have the after hours open from 3 to 10 o'clock in the morning the following day. So I would jump from the nightclub from my job to the after hours. So I used to spend whatever money I made, I would spend it on the after hours. So that was, I did that for like 2 years. And it just happened that one of the persons that I was selling the pills, he was working for the police as an informant. So they were following me. Yeah, they were following me for like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So I end up getting charged with like, I think it was like 6 or 7 charges of drug trafficking. Just because of the amount is considered drug trafficking. More than 1,000 pills. I think it was more than 50 pills was already drug trafficking. So I got charged. I got like 7 counts of drug trafficking and like 2 counts of conspiracy. So, that happened when I was like 20. I was about to turn 21 years old. So.
Oh, so you were just a kid. You were really young.
Yeah. Because back then it used to be. I don't know how it is right now. I think now you need to be 21 and over to go into the clubs here in Miami at least. Mm-hmm. But back then it was 18 and over. So yeah. And I remember one of the guys that used to go to that nightclub. He was a criminal attorney. So he was like one of my VIP clients. He used to get there. He was. Yeah, he was on his 40s. He was like on his early 40s. He was doing really well. And we used to, let him park in front of the club, have a table with a bottle ready for him. He would come with different girls every night. So he was like my VIP client. And I remember I used to work the door with my girlfriend by the time. And I used to tell her, hey, listen, if anything happens to me, just make sure to call that guy. Yeah, if anything happens. Yeah. For any reason, anything. I wasn't thinking about the pills, but I was, if I ever get in trouble, just make sure you call that guy. And she actually did, man. When I got arrested, the following day I went in front of a judge. So he started reading my charges and everything, and he was already there. So he basically represented me throughout the entire case that lasted like a year and a half, almost a year and a half. So I started facing 30 years in jail just because all the charges. The minimum mandatory was up to 30 years in jail. Minimum mandatory. The good thing is that it was a case from the Miami-Dade Police Department. It was actually the first NDMA case of the Miami-Dade Police Department. So the good thing is I stayed with the Miami-Dade Police Department, and they didn't transfer the case to the DEA. If no, that's considered federal. And well, at the end, I started with 30 years, and I walk away with 10 years of probation. So after that, I just made a promise to my attorney, who was also my friend. And he was always giving me advice. So he told me to go back to school, finish high school, start doing something. And I promised him that I was going to do it. And I went back to school to get my GED. I got my GED, and then I got enrolled in the university, and I ended up getting my bachelor in business administration. So I finished the bachelor in 2007.
Great. And then, okay, so I love the honesty within the story. So you're back to school, you're still in probation for this next 10-year period. And then 2007, how does that go after that? So now you have your degree and you're getting into the business world. Because I want to get how you got to have as many doors as you do now.
Yeah. This is how I got involved in real estate. 2007, I graduated from university. I got my bachelor in business administration. And the first thing that came to my mind was like, it was really hard for me to just go back to school and finish school. So let me just apply for a corporate job. That's all I had in my mind. I was like, dude, it took me it was so hard for me to do this. Let me get a corporate job. I saw a bunch of friends getting corporate jobs, working 9 to 5, getting all the benefits. I was like, I want that, So by the time I was working I was doing property management for a company here in Miami, and I was stationed in one of the buildings that they manage to specialize on high-end buildings. So I was an assistant in one of the buildings, and I was there for almost 3 years. So while I was working there, I met a lot of people in the building, and so as soon as I finished school, I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I started saying, goodbye to all these people that I had met during those 3 years. And among those people, there was this guy who was a real estate investor from Ecuador. So we made like really good friendship because the guy didn't speak that much English. So he would come to the office and he would talk to me, so we, same culture, so we made a connection. So when I told the guy, listen, I'm just leaving, I'm going to start looking I was so naive, dude, that I was looking at positions on the corporate jobs, but I never thought about my criminal record and how that was going to affect me to get that job. So, but I was looking at the salaries as an entry-level position, and that didn't make sense either. So I remember telling this guy, no, listen, I want to get a corporate job. So the guy, he offered me a job on the spot. He was like, listen, the person that managed my portfolio she's moving to, it was a lady, she's moving to Spain, and I need someone to work with me. Yeah, he made me an offer. And it was actually more than double of what I was going to make as an entry-level position in any job offering that I was looking at. So I decided to take the job. My idea was like, I'm going to do this for a year. I'm going to get more experience doing something else. And then I'll do my search again and see if I can find anything on a big corporation. And that year, bro, ended up being 10 years. I worked for this guy from 2007 to 2017, managing his portfolio. And then from 2017 to 2022, I still work with him, but as an advisor. So he had me in a retainer. So he would just call me for, specific stuff. So during that opportunity, I learned a lot about, because the portfolio was actually high-end properties, a couple of triple net properties, and office buildings. So that was in 2008. So a lot of businesses were struggling. So, it gave me the opportunity to learn a lot about the commercial, the renegotiating, restructuring leases, negotiating leases and all that. And, and at the same time, in 2011, my office used to be in one of the buildings that we manage from the portfolio. We used to have like 1,000. We used to have the office. We used to occupy like 1,000 square feet of the entire building, and the rest of the building we will rent it to other companies. And one of the companies was a real estate attorney, and my wife used to be the legal assistant of the real estate attorney, and that's how I met my wife. So we started dating 2011, and in 2012 is when we decided to start our own company. And she quit her job with the attorney. I kept my job just because I had a lot of flexibility, and already had a staff, in place. I already had a manager, receptionist, whatever. So it was very flexible. So we started our own company, and the first idea that came to mind was like, man, I've been doing management for so long. My wife's she didn't have that much experience, but she was very good at administrative, doing things, administrative things. So she was like, let's just open a management company, and that's what we did. We opened a management company, and bro, we were working on the marketing, just brainstorming ideas for the website, how we're gonna reach the potential clients. We wanted to focus just on commercial. So we were thinking about, creating database from the same the same city where my office was. And I remember one day we were working late night, and I got a call from a gentleman, because our idea was we love to see this HGTV shows of, where you see people fixing flipping properties. So we were like, it would be cool if we can do that. But the thing about those shows is that you usually see the before and after. You see some of the process, but you don't know, how do you get the money? We didn't know how to get the money. Back then, I feel old, but back then YouTube wasn't it wasn't the same as it is right now. Right now, you go into YouTube and you find everything. Back then it was really hard for us to find information. So we used to go to Barnes and Nobles, read books about capital raising and things like that. And they always say start with friends and family, right? But my family or my friends didn't have any money back then, so I was like, no, that's not gonna work for us. So that's the reason why we decided to go the route of opening a management company. We were like, let's start doing the management company, raise some money, and then we can invest on fix and flip. And I didn't know anything about hard money lending back then, so I was just thinking of doing fix and flip, but all cash, and I didn't know anything about hard money lending. So I remember we were working on the marketing, and I got a call from a guy. Like out of the sudden, I got a call from a guy that saw my name and number in one of the buildings that I used to manage from this portfolio. He saw my number, and he called me, and he was a guy from Argentina. So he tells me, listen, I see that you're a realtor. I wasn't a realtor. It's just my name was there just because I was a manager of the property. So he's like, hey, listen, I see that you're a realtor, and I'm very interested in making and doing an investment here in Miami. So I was like, okay, so let me meet. We can meet, whatever. So I met with the guy. He tells me that he's a developer in Argentina, that he has a lot of investors, and he would like to start doing a business project here, something that wouldn't take more than a year, because he wants to just, do one project, see how it goes. And then if it goes well, start investing more money. So I met with the guy. He told me that his budget is 1.2 million. So I go back to my wife, and I was like, listen, we got the money. I mean, at least the commitment. I don't know if the guy was serious, but at least we got the commitment that he's going to invest the money. Now we need to look for a property. I didn't know how to get any off-market deals, any distressed deals, and any of that, because remember, I was working for this guy, and most of the realtors that I knew were like commercial realtors or high-end realtors. So I didn't know where to get these properties. However, inside the portfolio, we had a small multifamily, 8-unit multifamily that my boss didn't like because it wasn't the type of asset that he was used to invest. And he had bought it like 2 years before, just because the previous owner needed the money. He needed like $300,000 up front, and he did seller financing for the rest. He bought it for like $150,000. So long story short, we ended up buying the building from my boss. So we bought it for $1,025,000. We put like $25,000 on rehab. This was back in 2012. Right now, you can probably we only did the exterior because the building was already rented. So we just painted the exterior. We did some landscaping, lighting, and it took us about a year to sell it. And we sold it for 1.3, like a year later. Exactly a year and 10 days later, we sold it for 1.3. However, before closing that deal, my boss, by the time he was gonna pay off the mortgage, the solar financing mortgage, and he was gonna have some cash to invest. So we decided to pitch my boss a fix and flip business. So that's how we started fix and flipping houses. He basically gave me his terms were like, okay, you get to get the commission for selling the property, and the split of the profit was 85 to him and 15 to us. I wouldn't do that deal nowadays, but that's how we started.
Yeah, got you started. Yeah.
Yeah, I got us started. So that's how I started in real estate.
So when was your daughter born then? She was you're coming up on her birth now, I feel like, right? 9 years ago.
Yeah, she was born in 2015. My wife is when I met her, I was 31 years old, and she was 22 years old. She's like 9 years younger than me. We were probably in different phases because I was already thinking about having kids, and she didn't want to have any kids. At least she was like, I would like to have my kids, around when I turned 27, So I was like, you know what, let's just play by ear, So we start dating, and well, my daughter wasn't planned at all. So, but she came 2015, January 18, 2015.
And that's when your life changed.
Yeah, definitely.
And how was that? So you've got this new business, which is stressful, and you have I'll call it the wonderful surprise. And how was that for both you and your wife, an adjustment?
Dude, it was really good. I mean, I can say that 2015 was a really good year, not just for my daughter, not just because my daughter was born, but also we made a partnership with an investment fund from Chile that actually came to us through a childhood friend in Peru. So he referred to us. They wanted to start doing, invest. They were already investing here in Miami, actually. They were investing in rentals, but they wanted to do, diversify. So 2015, we made the partnership with them, and they gave us $4 million to scale our fix and flip operation.
Wow.
So we made them partners. And yeah, man, 2015, I don't know if you have a saying in English, but in Spanish is, niños vienen con el pan bajo el brazo. It means like your kids bring the piece of bread under their arm. And that's meaning that they always bring something good, So I think that's what my daughter did for us. So that's what my daughter did for us. And it was a really good year, 2015. And we get to scale our fix and flip operation. 2017, we started doing new construction projects. I don't know if you're familiar with master plans.
Yeah, master plan community.
Well, no, actually, here in Miami, at least, that's how I know it. They call it master plans. Let's say that for us, at least, it was a single family house of 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet. We submitted those drawings to the city. It took them like 9 months just to approve them. But then once they were approved, the only thing that we needed to do was to find the land that will fit that project, that will suit that project. So we did that for almost 2 years. And basically, the only thing that we had to do was like look for a land of 5,000 square feet with sewer and water connection, and just present the site plan. So instead of waiting 9 more months to get the approval from the city of Miami, that takes a lot of time to get approved, you would just submit the site plan and get approved in like 30 days. So we started doing that type of construction along with the fix and flip. The only difference is that the profit on those deals were like double of what we were making on fix and flip. So we started doing that at the same time with the fix and flip when we started the partnership with the Chilean group.
Gotcha. How's your kids been involved in your business at all?
Dude, my daughter, she was practically, she was born when we were, growing or scaling or fix and flip operations. So she was on the projects. She was visiting the properties with us. We have a bunch of pictures of her, in the just with the contractors or, just visiting properties. The little one, he came in 2018. We weren't not that involved on like visiting the sites or anything like that. So it's a little bit different. But my daughter was very, very involved in the operations. They, at the beginning, I remember when they used to ask her at school, what you're going to be when you grow up. She used to say a painter because she thought we were painters first. We were like, no, I want to be like my dad and my mom. They're painters. So we're like, okay, that's cool.
Painting is part of remodeling a building.
It is. Yeah. It is. So yeah, but now she understands what we do. My son, he knows that we rent properties. They're very involved. My son doesn't like it that much when I tell him, hey, we have to go see a property. He's like, for real, we have to? I'm like, yeah, we have to.
It's boring.
Yeah, boring. But yeah.
Did you feel like after your kids came out that you became more responsible or were sharpened?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I wanted to say that I did become more responsible, starting by taking care of myself. I was, like I say, I was heavily involved. When I had my daughter, I had already stopped doing drugs or any of that stuff, but I was still drinking. I don't want to say that I was an alcoholic just because I think I was able to stop whenever I want to. Having in mind that I need to be an example for my kids, made me definitely change a lot of the bad habits that I had.
I definitely understand that. There's the what's viewed as an alcoholic by the DARE program when you're a kid, which is that you can't get through a day without a drink. And then there's, social drinkers and as adult who just have a drink once every couple of weeks. But then you kind of realize still not very good. Still not very good. Still not good for you.
That's interesting that you're saying that because I used to consider myself a social drinker, but I was drinking more than every 2 weeks. So
the problem with the term social drink, and just as I'm speaking from experience here.
Yeah,
the term social drinking is accurate. You're drinking socially, but the thing is when everyone in the circle is socially drinking and they're hanging out multiple days a week, well, it's still drinking a lot. It can still be one of those things that's very, very regular.
Exactly, dude. I think drinking for me is like. You can be, like you say, you can be a social drinker, but it depends who you're around, I can be a social drinker, but if I get around my friends,
always drinking.
Yeah, it gets really bad, So like, I don't want to say that I stopped drinking. I'll be lying if I say that, I still drink, but I drink with my wife. She's probably my only drinking partner right now. Mm-hmm. So, we have some wine, we have a drink every now and then, but, the time that when I decided not to drink unless I'm around someone that really cares for me is which is my wife. Basically, she's the only person she's my drinking partner now. But and we do it, and now we do it socially, Max. So now we do it actually like every 2 weeks.
For me, I picked up the rule that I would only drink when it was worth it, whatever worth it meant. And what I found as the years have gone on is those times of being worth it just haven't been worth it, and it was, because for multiple years now it's been, I'll have some wine with my wife on our anniversary, that kind of a thing. It's like, it's really a small amount. And the following day, I'm just like, no, not anymore. And I just gave it up. It's a similar thing. I'm not sober, but, I just don't ever drink anymore and I don't miss it. And, and I go to these events where people are drinking and I couldn't want to not drink anymore. I'm just like, nope. I'm out. So it's, and some people are more able to have, the social engagement. And I kind of missed that a little bit, but I just gave it up.
I think that happens to me too. But the other thing is that I'm not in my 20s anymore. So now when I have a drink, it takes me like 2 days.
That makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
Yeah. You lose at least a day.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. For some reason, when I drink the following day, I'm okay. But then the next 2 days, I'm like, I don't want to get up from bed, man. So that's another reason why I stopped drinking. The real reason why I slowed down on the drinking was because in 2019, after we were doing all these master plan projects. And by that time I told my wife, you know what, we're not going to do fix and flipping anymore. This is too much, it's a pain in the ass. You never know what you're going to find once you do the demo. We were making more money in new construction. So we was like, we're going to focus 100% in new construction. And I remember that by that time, my contractor was actually one of my good friends. So I reached out to him. I was like, what we need to do is just make a partnership with Fernando, who was the general contractor, and let's just start building instead of doing fix and flip. So I called this guy. I told him, listen, I need to meet you. I want to propose you something. So he was like, okay, let's meet at a restaurant to have lunch. And I remember I took an Uber because I was like, this is my friend. He was my GC, but he's also my friend. I was like, we're going to have some drinks for sure. So I took an Uber. And when he gets to the meeting, he comes from the parking lot. And I was like, well, you can't drive in? He was like, yeah, I'm going to drink. I was like, okay, cool. We thought about the business. I pitched him the business. He was okay with it. He was on board. Long story short, we started drinking. Things got out of control. I got on his car on the passenger seat. I fell asleep. He ran the red light, and we got on a Tahoe actually hit us on the side that I was going on the passenger side. So I ended up in ICU for 3 weeks. With a tube down my throat. It was really just scary just to think, just to think that I wasn't going to be able to leave the hospital and spend more time with my kids. My son was not even a year old. That was on February 2019. He was turning 1 year on March 12th, and I was still in the hospital. So it was very scary. So that's one of the reasons that I actually stopped drinking too.
Just kind of a see down into the pit, really. How bad things can get.
Yeah.
How'd your daughter take it? Well, she had to be 4 or 5 at the time, right?
She was 4. She was already 4. Yeah, bro. When I got home, because I broke my lip, I broke all my the ribs. The ribs damaged my lungs. That's what I was in the hospital for so long. And basically, when I got home, dude, the reason why I broke my lip is because so many medications. I was actually in drugs, 24/7. So, I used to have like, out of a sudden I will wake up and I start pulling the tubes out of my throat. So the doctor was like, if he does this and we're not around, he's just gonna die, So what they did is that they put the tube and they put some sort of, I don't know how you call it, bro, but they put something to just hold the tube, and that's how they broke my lip. And when I went back home, bro, I had all my face was swollen. My kid they didn't want to get close to me because they were scared.
Oh, wow.
It was but it was a wake up call to me, that I needed to make changes. And especially, when we were doing good, our business was doing good, but we didn't have, any rental income, they
didn't have any assets of your own.
We had assets. We did have assets, but they were fix and flips or new construction.
Yeah, you're right. No holds, no long-term holds.
The money was just sitting there. So we didn't have any income at all. And I was in the hospital for almost 3 weeks. My wife was by my side every day. And when I got discharged from the hospital, they told me, well, it's going to take about 6 months for you to go back to your normal routine, your normal life. And thank God it only took me like 3 weeks. I was already visiting properties and back in the office, after 3 weeks. But dude, when I look at my financials, I was like, damn, we've been living out of our savings. We didn't have any money. I mean, all the money was parked on projects.
Yeah.
So that's when we come to and the other thing, that's when we made the decision of getting married, because all the assets that I had, all the money that was parked on these projects, that were under LLCs that were under my name. So my wife practically wasn't part of anything. And she didn't have any rights for any of the things that I had under my name, by my parents. That's when we decided to get married, and that's when we decided to start investing on rental properties, which is, we were like, we need some passive income. The only thing that we know how to do is real estate, so let's just start buying rentals, And that's when we start buying rentals. We bought our first rental in January 18, 2020. That was my daughter's birthday, the first rental that we bought.
And so now you're 85 doors
82.
in 4 years? 82 doors in 4 years.
82, and hopefully I should be closing on 10 more in the next 30 days.
Wow, all single family? Or well, no, you mentioned so you like to do small multifamily.
No, we don't buy single family. I mean, I only have one single family, and that's because it's in a really good area in Miami, and we actually gonna just knock down the house and build a new project. But
and with your portfolio now, are you still taking on investors, or is this just you guys?
The 82 doors is just us. The 82 doors. And the 10 that we're gonna buy now, the 10 doors that we're in the process of buying, I'm not sure if we're gonna buy them if it's just gonna be us or probably another member of Race Master that I met through the community. I met him there, and he actually invests in the same markets that we do. So we had a lot of friends in common. I didn't know the guy, and he's actually has his office right next to mine on the building next door. So he wants to go into a deal with us, so we might make a partnership with him if he's and if not, we'll buy it ourselves. But this one we're buying it with seller financing, so it's a 10-unit building.
Great.
Yep.
92 doors soon.
Yeah, 92 doors.
Be 100 before long.
Yeah, and no, we used to have 100, but we just sold 18 doors 16 doors actually. We just sold them like a month and a half ago. But we also have syndication projects and partnerships that we have done with investors in South America. And, altogether, there are about 220 doors.
That's with your syndicated deals as well?
Exactly. Included everything, including my own portfolio. So,
and you're still doing new builds?
No, dude, the construction cost is way too high right now.
Oh, yeah.
In a sense,
okay.
That's part of the strategy. We buy either small multifamilies, because I'll be honest with you, I've been having a hard time just moving or expanding to other markets. I'm looking at other markets, but I haven't done anything yet. I mean, I bought 2 duplexes in North Florida, but I end up selling them after 6 months. But had a hard time just opening other markets, like other states, moving to other cities. So our strategy is to buy, like I say, small multifamilies that I from 2 to 4 units are still considered residential, that I can get a 30-year fixed loan. And we also buy garden style apartments, small apartments, no more than 2 floors. Maybe if it has amenities, just a laundry room, that's it. We don't want to deal with we don't want to deal with pools or gyms or anything like that. And we also buy stuff that has potential to build. Like last year we bought a 5-unit building in downtown Hollywood, here in Florida, Broward County, and it's a 5-unit building, but it's zoned. The land itself is like almost 15,000 square feet, and it's zoned to build up to 30 units. So we try to look for things like that, that have potential to build in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, when construction prices go down.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Or rents go up enough,
or rents go up.
Yeah.
Well, rents have gone up. Rents have gone up here in Miami because when we started doing our rental portfolio, the idea was like, what we want passive income, so we need to buy properties and at least have enough passive income to cover our costs, our living costs, or living expenses. And I remember we did the numbers, and this was before the pandemic. But when we did the numbers, the 2-1 units on the markets where we invest, which are C-class properties, the rent was about $1,500 average. Now the average rent on those at least in our properties is $2,100. So they just went up like 40%. Yeah, it's really crazy. And there's not much affordable housing here in Miami. So even Section 8 programs now, they sent me the price list last week, and they're paying for a 2-1, they're paying up to $2,800 in Section 8.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the build cost per foot there these days in Miami? Like ballpark, 200, 250, 300 a foot to build a house?
To build a house, to build or to flip? To
build.
To build. Dude, I would say between hard costs and soft costs, I would say close to 200.
200 foot, yeah.
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty affordable compared to Arizona.
Well, it depends I mean, I'm talking about depends on the finishes, right?
So he's I mean, as a speaking from the position of the developer, I think that makes sense because I think that's about the same in Arizona, max, about 200 a foot.
I'd have to look at that. I'm not a developer. We don't do development projects. I'm wondering if some of the numbers I've looked at include the land cost, because I've just seen total project costs when I'm quoting that number. So I don't know if that would just be build. Is that land including the
No. That's just hard costs and soft costs. Yeah,
hard and soft.
It has to be close to 200. But when we used to build, it was around $115 a square foot. So there's a big difference.
So Christian, we just had Father's Day.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Dude, I didn't do anything. I just asked my wife to cook me a nice breakfast. She did it with my daughter, and we spent all day home. We got in the pool. We didn't do much.
That was my day.
That was my day too.
What you got?
Yeah,
you guys did the
same day. Same day.
Yeah, yeah, and it was great. It was great. It was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, man. No, that's what I wanted too, man. I just want to spend time with Dan, and that's what we did. We had a good time, bro. We had a good time.
Right.
So what do you do to spend time with your family? You got all this real estate stuff going on, man. So what do you?
Yeah, we have bro. Thank God. At the beginning of this year, I started to. I don't know how is your market, guys, but for me, like at least the fix and flip side is very slow. Because of the interest rate, it's very challenging right now to sell the properties. So I have a bunch of properties that are just sitting there for sale, and the rentals those are doing good. We don't have much vacancy. The delinquency is less than 3%, so we're fine. But I was more involved on the new construction and the fix and flipping. My wife handled more the management, and we built after the pandemic. We were able to build our back office team in Medellin, Colombia. So we have about 16 employees over there. We open an office over there, and they manage everything from there, from Colombia. So it's really, I step out of the operations, so I have a lot of time in my hand. Actually, right now I'm having a hard time, just focusing and see, what do I need to do now that I have a lot of time in my hand. And that's the reason why I joined the Race Master community, because I have experience raising money, but I was doing it like in the old-fashioned way, just raise money. I mean, raising debt mostly. So I was raising debt, just giving them a promissory note of a 10% fix, and I was using that money as to cover my gap on the fix and flip projects. But now I want to scale that business. I want to be able to raise more money, use all the connections that I have in South America, and also here in Miami, and start looking at expanding my business to other cities, other states.
So you went to Medellin and built an office.
Yeah, we do our own. We try to do our own acquisitions, everything like off market. So we do a lot of direct mail. We send a lot of letters. We send about 30,000 letters per month, and we also do cold calling. So when we tried a lot of
30,000. Wait, I'm sorry, 30,000 letters a month. So what's your ad spend on? So what's your ad spend a month?
It's $24,000.
Wow,
more or less for 30,000. So that's what we do. That's why the direct mail, but we also do cold calling. So we have that's the reason why we started in Medellin, because we hire a lot of cold callers. I have a dispo guy at the office, and we hire an acquisition guy at the office. So we hired a lot of cold callers in the Philippines and in other countries, but it wasn't good, man. Just the time zone difference. They weren't handling the calls the way we wanted to. So we end up looking at Medellin. So we hired. We started with 2 callers in Medellin. Now we have 5, and then that's when the pandemic happened in 2020, and we just closed down our office, and everybody was working from home. And the lady that used to do the accounting, she went on maternity leave and she never came back. So I was like, I need an accountant. And now that I'm buying rentals, I need more help on the management. And I have my good friend lives in Medellin. He works for a company from Australia, and he was like, listen, we have all the back office here in Medellin, so you should try it. You're going to be able to get really good, talented people. They speak the language. You're good. They're going to work on the same time zone, so you're not going to have any issues. And that's what we did. We opened a company in Medellin. And now they do everything, the accounting, property management, and the call center, and this position too, because a lot of this marketing, probably actually 60% of the properties that come through that marketing that are a deal are not a deal for us. So we usually dispose those properties to other investors as well.
Interesting. This has been fantastic, Christian. I'm so glad that we've had you on. So in regards to people who are, wanting to get in contact with you, how do they get in contact with you?
The best way to get in contact with me is through social media. I have my LinkedIn page is Christian Silvestre, my first and last name. My Instagram page is actually Flipping Houses Miami. I thought about changing the name, but I get a lot of leads through that through that account. So I decided to keep it, and yeah, that's the best way to get in contact with me.
Great. Well, Christian, really appreciate you being on. And this whole episode, is such a reminder. Sounds like there's some rough upbringings and just a continued improvement permanently. I was just going to say, it sounds like you've just done better and better and better. To the point that you now have, a big portfolio of real estate, a thriving business, 2 great kids, and a great wife. Congratulations on so much hard work that's been rewarded for you. And, so for any listeners who are listening, we care about our listeners in general. If you want to network with other dads, come over to the realestatedadspodcast.com, and you can either submit a request to become a guest, which we'd love to hear your story. If you've got a fantastic story about being a dad. And you can also join our Slack channel where you can network with other dads, and you can network with people who are doing deals for capital raising. If you've got a deal you want to sell, or you want to talk with other guys about how they are parenting their kids through the challenges and the triumphs. So you can do both those things through our website. And Christian, thanks so much for being on. Really appreciate you. And Trevor, any last words?
That was another great story, man. So thanks for sharing all that with us, Christian. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here, dude.
No, thank you guys for having me here and for allowing me to share some of my story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being honest.